82. They had me sold at 82. But then you look at the next number, which is 125 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. How's it going, guys? Sorry I'm not in my typical garage setup that I usually have. Right now I'm working out of province, so I'm actually in the mountains, which is pretty beautiful. It's not too bad of a gig. If you've got to work out of town, go and work in the mountains. Anyways, guys, today I wanted to talk about my next big modification for the Challenger. So far, the only performance modification I've got to give me extra power on the car is my long tube headers and the tune to accommodate them, which has been excellent so far. By the time I get back into town, the racetracks will then be open, which is excellent because I can get to the track. My big goal with putting on the headers was right off the bat, I wanted to prove to you guys that with your 5.7 Hemis, you could get them into the 12s with only doing one modification, being headers. I always found it super annoying that people would always praise the performance of like the SS Camaros, like the 5th gen SS Camaros and the 6.1 liters, and then rag on the 5.7 for being slow, when in all reality, literally all you need is just a set of headers and a tune to accommodate them, and you're literally as fast as the 5th gen SS and the 6.1 Hemi, which people never really talk a lot of crap about, especially back in the day. You know, a 12-second car with just headers, I mean, that's a pretty quick car. But now it's time to move on to the next big performance modification. I've put a lot of thought into it. For a lot of guys, they were looking at the 270 cam, and for a while that seemed to be a really popular option because there wasn't a lot of cams that were specifically available for the 5.7 Hemi. You know, the 270 is actually a fairly big cam to put in the 5.7 Hemi. Although a few guys have done it and had some great power results, it is a little bit big for the car. Lately, a lot of guys have recommended putting in a 6.4 cam out of the 6.4 Hemi into your 5.7, and early dyno results from that are showing that guys are actually putting down a lot of extra power with those cams. They're actually doing really good for the car. I almost bought one. I actually added it to my shopping cart online and ordered it, and was going to go with a 6.4 liter cam for my 5.7 Hemi, but I don't know if it was fate or the universe or whatever, but they actually ended up contacting me after I had bought it and saying that they didn't have any more in stock because I was getting a used cam from a performance shop that had been swapped out, and they contacted me and said they didn't have any more in stock. So I kind of stopped and rethought what I was doing and decided to go a different route. So the next place I actually went and checked was CompCam's website. They had just released a series of new cams for the 5.7 and 6.4 Hemis. I mean, they're a little bit late to the game, kind of. I mean, the platform's been for how long, and just I think 6 months ago was when they finally released these series of cams. So immediately after looking at CompCam's site, I stumbled upon their HRT series for the 5.7 Hemis, and immediately after looking at the dyno sheets and the claimed horsepower, I was immediately interested. Immediately, I was not so concerned about going with the 6.4 liter cam, and I was very, very interested in doing an HRT series cam from CompCam's. So the peak horsepower numbers that you'll notice when you look at the specs of this kit is 82 additional horsepower at your usual 5600 or so RPM redline that your Hemi normally has. I mean, that number immediately gets your attention, especially when you see the dyno graph and realize that throughout your entire curve, there is tons more power the entire way throughout the curve. So 82, they had me sold at 82. But then you look at the next number, which is 125 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. So if you can raise your red line with your tune, which I highly suggest you do after installing this cam, they're claiming that you will put down an additional 125 horsepower over stock on a stock 5.7 with headers and a bigger throttle body, is what they were saying on their dyno sheet. That is mother fucking impressive. 125 horsepower from doing a cam, or 82 horsepower if you're going to your usual red line. That is unreal. Those power numbers are crazy. So immediately after seeing that, I had to click buy and throw it in my shopping cart. So the other thing I did notice about it though was it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of information out there from guys installing the HRT series cams from comp cams and their 5.7 Hemis. And that is simply because these cams are quite new. Like, they've only been out for about 6-7 months, something like that. So there isn't a ton of videos out there with the dyno results and track results to really give guys a really good idea of what kind of gains they can expect with a cam like this. But even still, with the numbers, it's hard not to go with this kit. So guys, that is my next big performance upgrade. I ordered the Comp Cams HRT Stage 2 kit for my 5.7 Hemi, and I'm hoping to see if I can get an extra 100 horsepower out of it. Now, originally when I was looking at doing a cam, I was just hoping to match the output of a 6.4 liter Hemi, but it's a possibility that I might be able to surpass those numbers. Now, on their dyno sheet, they were claiming 471 horsepower when they dynoed their 5.7 with headers and a bigger throttle body to get the numbers for the Stage 2 kit. Now, that's probably just the engine itself. You're probably going to have a little bit of drivetrain loss through that, but still 470 horsepower out of a 5.7 Hemi. Those are excellent, excellent numbers. So even if that puts you 450 horsepower to the rear wheels or 440-ish, I mean, you're still looking absolutely killer as far as the power your 5.7 is making. That's putting you a little higher than a stock 6.4 makes. They usually dyno around 430 or so to the rear wheels. So all of a sudden, with just headers and a Stage 2 cam and not a whole lot of money spent, all of a sudden you've got a 5.7 car that is just tearing it up at the drag strip. Like, at that rate, depending on if you can get that power to the ground, with those kind of power levels, you'll easily see 11s pretty consistently with that. You know, if you can run consistently into the 11s with only a cam kit, a set of headers, and maybe a throttle body, that's absolutely unreal. It's really hard to say that the 5.7 platform is really crappy and you should snooze on it, when with only a couple modifications, with very little money spent, especially if you do a lot of this work yourself, you can be pushing 11s with a car. How can you hate on that? I don't know, man. You can't hate on that. Those are amazing numbers for not a lot of dollars spent. So anyways, guys, that's the next big modification that I was super excited to tell you about. I cannot wait until it gets in and I can get it in my car. I will definitely have an unboxing video for you guys as soon as it arrives and as soon as I get home, and hopefully maybe it's even waiting for me when I get back home. Fingers crossed, man, you never know. So anyways, guys, that's the only update I got for you today. Hopefully my next video is when I'm back home and kicking it on the track when it's reopened for the first time in 2020. Anyways, guys, take care.